Bigfoot cooking.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bigfoot Cooking. Today, we're making Bigfoot Dirt, a made from scratch using fresh apples, apple dump cake. Guess what the cards have for us today? Guess what the cards have for us today? All right. Bad day for the cards. So, today's ingredients, we have about 5 apples. You can add more or less depending on if you want really appley flavor or if you just want a little subtle apple. We're going to be using boxed cake mix. We're going to use a yellow cake mix. 1 thing of cream cheese, 8 ounces, a stick of butter, and then for the little bit more seasoning, we're going to have 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Now, going. All right, work that time. So let's get into the cooking. Before we get started cutting apples, let's turn our stove on and get this guy preheating to 350. The apple, Granny Smith's. I still like these. They're really crisp, they're tart, and they hold up well for any kind of cooking. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take these guys, we're gonna set them onto the peeler. You just stab them on here, they slide right on, no problem. And then we crank the handle in. And as we crank it in, you'll notice this guy right here, the little cutter, he just takes and peels everything off the side. And then we go through the knife blade at the end. And as you see, the knife blade is just doing nice little circles to make everything smooth and pretty. Once we get it all the way through, like you see right here, it just slides off. And what's left, we got the core on the end of the trident, the little spear thing, and you have your apples ready to be cut and sliced. Looky there, looky there. Now that we've got all our apples sliced, we're gonna come back with a knife. We're gonna cut them into smaller pieces so that way they're not giant rounds. And once we have that, looky here, more chicken food. Now we've got our apples all sliced up and into nice little tiny pieces. Let's add the little flavor segments. In comes our brown sugar. Look how they clump up. This is some of the easiest stuff to get out because when you scoop it out, it makes just nice little lumpy lumps. Ain't that pretty? We're gonna take and bloop, bloop, dump them in. Look at there, they even hold shape afterwards. This is like sand at the beach when it's wet and just perfect to play with. Anyway, enough about the brown sugar. We then add our cinnamon, AKA tree dust, and we add our nutmeg. I'm not sure what is a meg, but it came from a nut. And now we take and mix all this together to make sure everything's got a good even coat because you want the flavor to be on every piece of apple now, don't you? Just keep gently pushing and mixing and pushing and mitching. Lord have mercy. I said mixing. That way everything gets a good, happy coat of flavor. Because after all, why else would you be making something as delicious as this without tasting goodness in every bite? We've had our cream cheese sitting out for a little bit, so it's not quite room temperature, but it's not quite refrigerator cold. So what we do, we're gonna take and slice it into smaller pieces and just put a little plop all over the place. Because once this cooks up, it's gonna melt in, get all happy, because believe it or not, I think cheese and apples, once upon a time, they used to date. I'm not sure why, I'm not sure how, but I'm pretty sure because they taste just too daggum good together. Now that we have the cheese spread, pretty evenly through, it'll melt down a little bit. If this was your traditional dump cake, right now you would just take the cake batter, pour it all over the top until everything is swimming in it, and then take your butter and chop it up in pats, kind of like we did the cheese here. It would melt down into it and comes out really well, but I find occasionally you have just dust where the butter didn't quite get into all of the dump cake. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put it in the food processor, pulse it a little bit and get that flour and that cake mix put together really well before we incorporate it. It is time once again to invoke the powers of the ninja. But instead of the really sharp chop 'em up blade, we're going to use, there's actually a dough hook in here. I don't guess it's a hook, but it's a dough blade. It's, instead of the sharp metal, it's just a plastic end, and we're gonna use that. We're actually gonna try it out. I haven't used this before, so we're taking a journey together. With the lid off of it to kind of help keep the mess down, we're going to dump our cake, well, dump, drop, pour, something. Dump our cake in here, and then I'm gonna plop in 2 of the giant pats, or half of the stick of butter, and let's see how we do. So we're gonna pulse it a few times, and after we mix it up a couple of hits with the pulse button, then we're gonna add the rest of the butter and pulse it in again. Again, our goal here is to get the butter and the cake mix all happy and talking together in just one homogenized hunk of love. Now that the pulsing is done, let's see what we've got. If I can get this off. You know, this ain't too bad. I see no evidence of butter. It's all nice and mixed in with the cake. And this thing worked pretty good. So for its first trial run, I'm happy with it. Now let's take the cake and the butter and pour it all over the rest of it and get it ready for the oven. Alrighty here, looky, 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 looky. Looks like an unbaked cake, don't it? But that's okay. That's what you're after. Now we're gonna spread this out, get it all over the whole thing, and then, oh, stay still, Apple. And next, it's time to put it in the oven. Excuse me there, puppers. Yep, that's the firebox. Time to ease this guy in here. Let it reflect on life for about 45 minutes. And we'll check back on it then. You know, sitting here washing this thing up, wonder how Bigfoot will use this guy. Nah, too crazy. Anyway, now that this guy's clean, let's get back to the show. Y'all know I want to peek at this thing, right? But this time, I'm gonna resist the temptation, because I got thinking, if y'all don't mind, if y'all are enjoying the crazy stuff that I do here, would you mind doing a like and subscribe and share with somebody just so they can get a laugh out of the stupid stuff I do? I'd appreciate it. I really want to get one of those silver play buttons, and I just do it one video at a time. Thanks, guys. Oh, I heard the alarm bells ringing. It must be time. Let's see what we got coming out of him. Ooh, big old blast of heat. That's what we got. Ooh, looky there. Yes, indeed. Looks like we got us almost a shortbread topping on that right there. Nice little crispy brown. We're gonna have to let this thing cool for just a minute though. It is hot. And then we'll go for the taste test. Never mind, I'm not gonna wait. This looks quite delicious. We're gonna go into it and scoop us out some and just see how well these apples are done. Ooh, look at that steam. Oh yeah, look at that. Steamy, hot, smells amazing. But I need one thing. I have magic powers. We need ice cream. Man, this must be skinny ice cream. Look at there. I think this must be diet ice cream. It means I can eat more of it, right? Get us a nice scoop right here. Come on out. Hold on, perfect scoop right in the middle. Ooh, look at that, look at that. Now y'all know the only reason why I'm going ahead and do this is because we got that melted ice cream cooling off them hot apples. Oh yeah, but I still ain't making the face. Too hot. There we go. Yep, you get the bite mixed in so you don't burn your tongue. This is good. It's almost like a shortbread instead of a cake on top. So if you want the more traditional, crusty, flaky, don't use the processor. But for this right here, it's almost like a real good shortbread finish on it. This is amazing. So, excuse me while I dine and dash. And remember, no matter how good the food is, Bigfoot is real. Okay, all right. I got butter on my fingers.